Hey everyone, I want to start this episode off today by apologizing to Mary Laxon, whose episode I was supposed to be releasing today, but I thought instead I'd release my episode with Shibu Raj because, as some of you would know by now, he's had some bad luck in the last week. His farm has been hit with a tornado, which is pretty devastating. So I've got this post here from his business page on Facebook, Two Rivers Honeybees, from the 10th of May that I'll read to you. As many of you know by now, Columbia, Tennessee was hit with the EF3 tornado last night, and it ripped through our farm, destroying most of the farm. We lost our storage buildings, most of our nukes, mating nukes, and AI queens prepared for the season. So that's obviously pretty awful. There's some pictures attached which are really devastating. So I hope Shibu's doing well at the moment. He says in the post that he's doing some salvaging, some rebuilding. And I thought I'd release this episode now because we've got a crowdfunding campaign attached to it in the show notes. So Dan Long's made that one. Dan's been on the show before and he's done a really good job. So thanks for doing that, Dan. And so that's the crowdfunding campaign that's attached in the show notes. So if you're listening to this episode and you'd like to help Shibu out, I think that's the best way that you can do it. Now, unfortunately, in this episode, as I was recording it, the audio on my side didn't work properly. Shibu's audio was fine, but mine didn't work. So I'm going to talk you through this episode, which is a little bit frustrating. So sorry about that. But we started the episode off with the funny story that I like to ask people at the start of the episode. So that's how we've started it. And I'll talk you through the questions as we go.
Yeah, I mean it's not funny. It's funny in a way, probably beekeepers, but not for me at that time because I was catching a swarm from the front yard of a family. So I got everything, dropped it down into the box, then got everything covered up, and then I was talking to this gentleman talking about how we catch the swarm, and all of a sudden the swarm flew away again. you know, and then he asked me what happened, because he was expecting it to be caught, isn't it? So I said, not sure. Yeah. So it was like I was explaining how we catch everything I was feeling so confident and so good before that enthusiasm gets out, the bees started flying, and gone into a little bit higher branch. I was like, okay, now what I do, so it was a little. Probably it is funny for someone seeing, but for me, it was like a little bit sweating in terms of explaining to him what really happened,
Great story to start off the podcast there from Shibu about catching a swarm with a customer. And as all of you would know, when you're trying to be a pro with the bees in front of people, it often doesn't go right and it's usually pretty funny. So great story there. The next question I asked was about Shibu learning artificial insemination with Sue Kobe.
Yeah, so as I said, I was getting more into after I came to United States, I got more into the scientific side of the beekeeping. So obviously you start with reading books and things like that. So overall, I got the idea about raising queens and all those things. And since I was interested in breeding, my next thing was to, okay, how to do a controlled breeding. For breeding, the important aspect, like in any, because I worked in poultry also a little bit when I was in India. For any breeding to be successful, you need to control both the parental sides, both the mom side and the dad side, for any breeding to be successful. There are a lot of literatures around it. So in the bees, the only way to control the drone side of the genetics is through artificial insemination. So I had that in my mind, but there are only 3 places at that time was providing any type of training. One was Purdue University at that time. One was Arizona State University and obviously Washington State. And the zoo at that time is treated as the top resource for any type of artificial insemination. Probably, I can tell you, she is more like the mother of AI in the modern age. I know it was done by Harbors and all, but probably she is kind of the best. So I was emailing her back and forth. It is hard to get that. But finally, I was given an opportunity to go there. So I went there for it was a 4-day training. It is in Washington State. We have to stay there. She will have the drones and the queues. She has a classroom set up. She will go through the process. We tried it. Um, I had the equipment by then. So I came back. So obviously, you will not become right away an expert by just attending 4-day classes, but you got the process, you got the methodology, came back, did it. It was partially successful because there are so many other things which are going wrong. I got a chance to go for an advanced class probably a year and a half later. This is before COVID. I was able to go there. Did at that time I has done quite a few. So she was able to do some more corrective actions, like she will observe what you are doing, and she will give you. But it was not, the second one was not like teaching, but it was more like coaching. So she will tell, okay, this is what you have to do, and that put me on the right path. So after that, my success rate has gone up. So that once I mastered the technique, then obviously you have to formulate a program on how you are going to use it. Just AI is just a tool. So um, I would say I was fortunate to get to know her and to get a chance to get trained by her. I don't think it is if I was not um, if I haven't tried in that past, I won't be able to get a good training on that. So I was thinking myself very fortunate to have that. Pure communication. She has a website, insemination. I think honeybeeinsemination.com. You contact through her. Nowadays, I think she is only. I heard again. She's doing only advanced classes because there are a lot of classes available in United States in different universities providing the initial training. Like Purdue is doing it now. I know Arizona State has the same thing. Penn State University out of Pennsylvania has it. So there are a lot of places now people are doing that training. Now AI is getting more broader audience in United States. So that's a good thing.
So Shibu sells his own AI instrument, which he assembles from parts that he gathers from different places around the world. So in this next section, we cover how that's done and how you can buy it.
Yeah, so we get some equipment from Turkey. So we get a chance to know a manufacturer over there, and we did some customizations on because different regions have different techniques. The techniques we follow is slightly different. I mean, equipment is the same, but the syringe we use is slightly different. The Harbo assembly because Harbo syringe is nothing but a large capillary tube with some connectors and the tip and a syringe, in the equipment world. But European model has a different take on it, and we have a different take on it. The purpose is still the same. So those we kind of fabricate locally here. It is not fabrication. Fabrication is not the right word. Sorry, it's we assemble those components together here. But the base equipment we get from Turkey, and we sell few. That's not the major part. I was just giving it, making it available because a lot of times I get few requests for people to come and train. So not this equipment is not like widely available in a store, like a honeybee equipment store or an online supply store. So and so we provide it, and we also try to, while we get the equipment during the training, they get trained on the equipment they buy if they are buying. That way they get hands-on experience on how to set up, how to take care of it, how to clean it, how to assemble it. So they are training on their own equipment, which makes it a little bit more comfortable because they understand the setup. So that's why we provide it. It's not a big thing for us because the equipment is widely available in the marketplace now.
Shibu sells some of his queens in packs of 10, so in this next part we go into the logistics about why he sells them that way.
Yeah, we started this year. Actually, last year we used to do the ones and twos, but given our operation is we call it as a micro breeding operation. We are not like uh, a queen rearing shop. Like we don't do thousands of queens, so we only do a limited quantity. Um, Myself, I'm the only one. I have a full-time job, and I get help from my friends, and my son also now starts helping with the bees. So when we get into ones and twos, the challenge was obviously when you ship queues, you need to make sure that you contact them early on, make it away, make them ready to accept the queue, and then we pick, pack, and take it to the UPS parcel sender for the next day shipments and all. So it became very challenging to keep track of one queue and two queue orders, and it was not economically beneficial for us because we are losing a lot of time. It is not that we are losing money on the queue or anything like that, but we are losing a lot of time managing that shipping process because we have so many customers. Let's say if I have to do, like if I have a pack of five, isn't it? It may be five individual queues. Now I have to deal with the five different customers to make sure that they are ready. Some will say, okay, no, can you ship it another day? Most of the time we yield to that. Now we have to catch it the next day, which is not in a off cycle catching. Then we have to package it, take to the UPS store. So now we kind of say that's the only reason. It's more of a our easy to manage that process so that we can get more better customer service to the customers rather than missing one or two. Because right now we can pick five or six, packs of five. So probably we'll be picking on a given day, probably 30, 40 queues. So it's easy to manage and we package. And most of the queues will be same size, isn't it? Because otherwise you may do two queues, another person will do three queues, another person four, the various numbers. Then uh, now we only have two boxes, isn't it? A box of Carnies and a box of Caucasians. Everything is okay. Brent requested two packs. Okay, you get two boxes because we don't need to count. So it is a little bit more of a logistics optimization, so to speak. We did. It seems to be working. Some customers may not be happy about it, but I always say if they can come and pick it up, we can do that. Yes, when we are picking the queues, if you want to come and have one queue picked up from our farm, it's not a problem. But it is when you ship it, we have to adhere to that minimum quantity. And also, it is not beneficial for the end customer also because when you ship one queue, you still need to have a queue shipping box, which is $8. And all the other things needs to be added up. So your net price for the queue will go up. So $40 for the queue, say $10 for the packaging things, and another $40. So roughly your queue will become $100 open mated queue, which will be much expensive. So it is really beneficial to the end customer also to get a pack of five because they get a relatively smaller cost per queue in that model.
At the time of doing this interview, Shibu had just finished reading a book called Mating in a Miniature, which was an old English book that's all about mating in a tiny mating nuke that's just one frame. Really, really interesting. And as we talked about this, Shibu told me about his history of using mini mating nukes.
So I tried in the past and I failed very miserably. Okay. So I had this, styrofoam mini mating boxes with a three frame small. Um, because we are a small operation, for us to enhance or increase our queen production, that was the go-to move. But I was never successful. I tried constantly in 3 years. Every year it was an utter failure. Bees all died. Not even get. Probably we put out like I bought and went and bought 50 box the mini mating nukes one time. I think two cases each, 48 because each case was 24. Uh, Painted everything ready to go, loaded the bees. I got one queen out of 48. Miserable failure. Okay, I let it go. Okay, next year I said, okay, I read more about it. No, failure again. Third year I failed. And then I got a buyer for all those products, and I said, okay, you take it. I'm done with that. Then I went back into the regular full frame, 5 frame nucleus colonies for mating. Probably we do 3 frames and a 2 foundations, or 3 frames with a 1 feeder and a 1 founder. So it's basically 3 frame boxes. Works fine, no brainer, because you have, but the problem is you can only make so much of those from the colonies you have. So I was still not happy that I was not able to do it, because I know places in California and all, queen breeders do that. Okay. They are not running 5 frame boxes. So I know it can be done. So there is something going on. So I was researching, reading, a lot of people have different techniques, but this was the only one book. The book, it was written in a book form. So I am sure when you have a book written out, they have gone through a lot many permutations and combinations of how this needs to be done. Okay. So I was looking for this book. This book was from Europe, out of print a long ago. Nobody has this. So finally, I was Googling, and, finally I got it. It was 24 sterling pounds, I guess, from Europe. Yeah, it is out of print. It rarely comes up. Anyway, I got it. I read through it. There is a chapter on that. It's about how to make it, which is not relevant anymore because you can buy it. But chapter 3 onwards is really interesting, and I know what I was doing wrong. Because just for your audience, what I was doing is I will shake the bees in the morning, and I will put a queen cell which is about to emerge, and then close it. And I was using the liquid feed on the feeders, but it was not working. Few things. One of the things they say is you have to shake the bees and keep it in the shaked form before you're loading into the mating nukes for 24 hours. That's like a day. So you need them to be in the package form for a day, completely queenless, loaded with the syrup. So they are fully loaded with the syrup or nectar in that model. So they have nothing else to do. And then you load them into the mating nuke the next day. And there is no liquid, just fondants, a baker's fondant, or, no artificial flavors, just the regular sugar fondant. And then you had to keep them closed for 3 days, 72 hours or so. So pretty much when you are making the bees queenless, almost like 5 days in the whole process. And this has to be done in I think according to, I have the notes, I think has to be kept in a 15 degrees centigrade, which comes to around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, or around that range. It may not be exact. And it has to be in a dark place, closed. Now the queens emerge, and the term he is using is the bees will have a time to weld together. WELD. That means they are going to come together as now a new colony. And that process was a little bit intriguing to me. And I'm sure a lot of people may say it's already available in the internet and all, but when you read a book on how methodological and all the timing, and those was a little bit. So I'm going to do that this year. I'm not going to do in a 50 boxes. I'm going to do in 10 boxes. I'm going to buy 10 boxes and try it out, give it a go. It is really a good book. I mean, these are some of the good in the beekeeping industry. Some of the treasures are like these type of books, which are not freely available. So I have a book from a Russian author, which was translated years ago. I have it in my hand. It's called Just Beekeeping in Europe. That's the first book I saw about 2-queen systems and all. And I think in upper part of Russia, the old Russian or Soviet Union, they do that effectively because they only have a short window of time to collect the honey flow is short. So they pretty much do that. So there are many books like this which are done like probably 50 to 100 years ago, but with a lot of information, and we are now still struggling without knowing that. So it was really a good book, worth every penny. And in the book, they talk about some concepts they follow in Germany. So they have something called a cooperative mating yards. Like you and me from a local region, we both work on a same race or a line of bees. we can take our mating nukes preloaded with a queen cell and a virgin. By queen cell, in 2 days it become a virgin, and then you take it to that area and you get it mated and bring it back to your operation so that you are getting a proper genetics. So so that is mainly, they are more interested in the German black bees, Apis mellifera, mellifera, and all. So there are a lot of pride in that kind of a mating. And I know University of the Canadian University, Mr. Paul Kelly has a video on the mini mating nukes, the styrofoam. If you cannot find it, just let me know. We can exchange via email on that. They also take it to an island in the Canadian province where they try to open mate buckfast, Canadian buckfast queens the same way. So the university will load up the whole mating nukes. They will load queen cells and all. They take it into a boat, go to the island, set it up on the mating stations, and they go back after 3 weeks. Once it get mated, they will catch it and put the queen cells back. So I don't think I am going to use that because my farm is well provisioned with the drones of the races I operate on. For me, it's more about just to double up my queen production from a 5-frame mating nucleus colony to a smaller frame, and just to see how that is going. And if it works, I am going to probably make it as a wooden box constructed locally here rather than a polystyrofoam, because it suits my handling and operations and things like that, so that it'll sustain a little bit more.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks a lot for that, Shibu. Now, would you be able to tell customers where they can get your queens?
Yeah, so obviously we cannot ship to you guys. It's a
Yes.
little bit for anything in US, they can go to our website, tworivershoneybees.com, and we have a online store. We sell open mated and instrumentally inseminated breeder queens also from Carniolan and Caucasian stock. So they can order through that and pay through there as well, and then we will ship on the first come first serve basis. If whether corporates, we plan to finish all our shipping by end of May, early part of June. After that, we cycle over to our honey productions and things like that.
And you're also offering the AI equipment and basic training.
Yes. So that is a case by case basis. We do not put that in our store. Obviously they can contact us through our website, and then because AI process is a little bit more has to be planned ahead, because I need to have engines ready, I need to have drones ready, and more importantly, we need to have that time. So it will be towards the end of the queen season is what we do all those trainings. It cannot be before that.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot, Shibu. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good luck with your bees there too.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Shibu. Really interesting stuff. Some key takeaways I thought from that episode were working with Sue Kobe. I thought that was a really interesting story, and she sounds like a fantastic teacher, and I'd love to have her on the show one day. I thought that story was really interesting. The logistics of sending queens. So if you're someone who's having trouble with your logistics, you're sending out a lot of queens and it's taking a lot of time, maybe consider doing what Shibu's doing, which is sending packs of queens. Will make it a bit easier, I think. I really like the story that Shibu told about the mating nukes. So I think those mini mating nukes, people have a lot of trouble with them, and a lot of people tell me in private that they weren't able to get them working, but I haven't had many people come on the podcast and admit that. So I thought that was really cool that he came and said, yeah, he had a lot of trouble with them, and he read that book, which is really cool. You can jump on his Facebook page and scroll back to January and you'll see that book, and it talks about the timings that you have to do to get those mini mating nukes working properly. One thing you can do with Shibu is AI training. So I'll leave the links to that in the show notes. So he sells his own AI instrument, which you can buy from him, and he will train you on how to use it. And also, of course, the reason why I really wanted to get this episode out today is the GoFundMe, which I'll also attach in the show notes. I hope you didn't mind the fact that that episode was a little bit messed up and I had to sort of cut it up and redo my side of the questions, which is a bit awkward, but I hope you found it okay and it was easy to follow. And as I said, I really wanted to get it out today because of the GoFundMe, which is attached. If you want to help Shibu, I think that's the best way that you can do it. So next couple of months, got some great episodes coming up for you. I'll have Mary Laxon's episode next. I've got Corey Stevens coming up. He's going to tell us about sending queens out in the commercial field. I've got Kirk Webster talking about treatment-free beekeeping. And then after that, we're going back to New Zealand. So we're going to be talking about commercial queen rearing in New Zealand. So got some great stuff coming up. Thanks again for listening. Really appreciate your support, and I'll catch you on the next episode.